I am 69 years old, and my son has blocked me on his phone. My own son, the boy I raised, the boy I named, the boy whose first steps happened in the hallway of this same house, whose first word was Papa, whose school fees I paid for 17 years without missing a single installment. That boy, that man now, has removed me from his phone the way you remove a contact you no longer need. Delete, block, gone. It's 1 a.m. I'm sitting on the edge of my bed in a room that's dark, except for this phone screen glowing in my hands. The blue-white light is the only thing illuminating my face right now. I can see the reflection in the window across the room. An old man in reading glasses hunched over a device, looking like he's praying. Maybe I am praying. Maybe typing messages that will never be delivered is the closest thing to prayer I have left. The screen shows WhatsApp. My son's contact is open. At the top, where his profile picture used to be, a photo of him at some cafe, smiling, wearing a blue shirt. There's nothing. Just the default gray silhouette. That faceless outline that WhatsApp gives you when someone has either deleted their account or blocked you. He didn't delete his account. I know because my wife can still see his picture. He only deleted himself from my screen. Below his name, I've typed a message, 3 paragraphs. I've been writing it for 40 minutes, explaining, apologizing, then defending, then apologizing again, then explaining why I did what I did, then asking him to call, then telling him I understand, then telling him he's wrong to do this. The message is a mess. It's the kind of message a man writes when he doesn't know whether to beg or argue, so he does both, and neither works. At the bottom of the message, in small gray text, sits 6 words. You can't send messages to this user. The bedroom smells like balm, that old tiger balm I rub on my knees every night, and cotton sheets that have been washed so many times they feel like paper. The clock on the wall ticks, loud, the way clocks get loud when everything else is silent and you're alone and it's 1 a.m. and the only person you want to talk to has turned you into a gray silhouette on his screen. I delete the message. I type another one, shorter this time. Beta, please call me. 4 words. I press send. Same gray line. Same 6 words. Same wall. I raised this boy. I fed him, clothed him, educated him, put a roof over his head for 23 years. And now I sit in the dark, typing messages that will never arrive, to a man who decided the safest thing he could do was make his father disappear. Let me tell you about the lie I told myself, because it sounded so right. It sounded like wisdom. It sounded like something a strong father says, something a responsible man believes. The lie. Toughness is love. He'll thank me later. I raised my son the way I was raised. Discipline was the foundation. Control was the architecture. Love was assumed, never spoken, never demonstrated, but assumed. The way you assume the walls of your house are strong because you haven't seen cracks yet. I believe that if I built the structure tight enough, rules, expectations, consequences, the boy inside would grow straight and strong, like a plant tied to a stick. Report cards were interrogations. Every exam season, the house smelled like textbooks and tension. He'd bring his marks home, and I'd sit at the dining table and go through them line by line, not to celebrate, to investigate. 82 in math. What happened to the other 18? 75 in science. Who scored higher than you? I asked questions the way a police officer asks questions, not to understand, but to establish where the failure occurred. I thought this was how you build excellence. I was building fear. His career, I chose it. He wanted to study design. He showed me sketches he'd made, buildings, interiors, furniture, pages and pages of drawings that had a life to them I couldn't see because I wasn't looking at art. I was looking at employment statistics. I said no. I said design is a hobby, not a career. I said engineering. He studied engineering. He hated every semester. He passed. He graduated. He never drew again. I took a pencil out of my son's hand and replaced it with a textbook he didn't want, and I called it guidance. He brought a girl home once. He was 21. She was kind, I remember that. Quiet, polite, the kind of girl who touches her dupatta nervously when she's being observed. I didn't ask her about herself. I asked her about her father's occupation, her family's background, her long-term plans. I conducted an interview in my living room while my son sat beside her, shrinking. He never brought her again. I don't know what happened between them. I never asked, because asking would have meant treating his choices as valid, and I wasn't in the business of validating. I was in the business of directing. Every boundary he tried to draw, I treated as defiance. I need some space, Papa. Space? From what? From the man who pays for your life? I want to make my own decisions. You'll make your own decisions when you can make your own money. Please don't shout. I'm not shouting, I'm talking. And even if I am shouting, I've earned the right. He called it control. I called it care. He experienced surveillance. I performed guidance. The gap between those two words, control and care, is the gap that my son now lives inside, on the other side of a block I can't undo. I provided everything measurable: fees, food, shelter, tuition, medical bills, a scooter when he turned 18, a laptop for college. Everything you can put a number to, I provided, and I kept a mental ledger of it, not written down, but calculated, carried, ready to be presented as evidence whenever he questioned my authority. I've spent lakhs on your education, and this is how you talk to me? I provided nothing unmeasurable, no safety, no acceptance, no space to fail without a lecture, no permission to feel without being corrected, no freedom to be a 20-year-old who is confused and uncertain and trying to figure out who he is without his father standing over him with a checklist and a verdict. He didn't rebel at 15. He didn't fight at 18. He didn't slam doors at 20. He waited. He absorbed. He passed the exams. He got the degree. He got a job. He moved out. He was patient and strategic and controlled. And I should have recognized those traits because I'm the one who taught them to him. And then, one Tuesday afternoon, he blocked his father on every platform he could find, quietly, completely, without warning, the way you lock a door you never intend to open again. Now let me tell you about the last conversation, the one before the wall went up. I need to go slowly here because this phone call is the thing I replay every night at 1 a.m. while I'm typing messages to a gray silhouette. It was a Sunday evening, 8 months ago. My son called me. That alone was unusual. He'd been calling less and less over the years, the way a river narrows before it dries. Our conversations had become short, functional. How are you? I'm fine. Okay, take care, bye. 4 lines, 30 seconds. The minimum viable communication between a father and a son who had learned that anything beyond the minimum was dangerous. But this call was different. His voice was different. Not angry, not emotional, measured, rehearsed. The voice of a man who has spent time preparing what he's going to say, who has practiced the words in front of a mirror or with a professional or in his own head for weeks before dialing the number. He said he was seeing a therapist. Those words landed in my ear like a slap I didn't see coming. A therapist. My son, the son I raised to be strong, to handle things, to push through, was paying someone to talk about his feelings. I felt something tighten in my chest. Not concern, offense. He said the therapist had helped him understand certain patterns from childhood. He used that word, patterns, clinical, careful, the language of someone who has been taught new vocabulary for old pain. He said the word boundaries. I interrupted him. What boundaries? I'm your father. He tried to explain. He talked about the constant criticism, the emotional control, the feeling of never being enough, not failing exactly, but never meeting a standard that kept moving, kept rising, kept being just beyond whatever he achieved. He said he felt like every conversation with me was an exam he hadn't studied for. He said he felt monitored. He said the word unsafe. My son said he felt unsafe with me. With me, the man who locked the doors every night, who drove him to school in the rain, who sat outside the exam hall for 3 hours waiting for him to come out. Unsafe. I said, and I need you to hear this the way he heard it, because the words I chose in this moment are the reason I'm sitting in the dark right now. I said, this is what happens when you pay strangers to tell you your parents are the problem. Silence. Long. Heavy. The kind of silence you can feel in your chest. The kind where the air on the phone line crackles faintly with static, and you can hear the other person breathing, and the breathing changes. I heard his breathing change. It went from shaky, the breath of a man who is trying to say something difficult, to steady, resolved, the breath of a man who has received his answer. He said, I called to give you a chance to hear me. You just proved why I need to stop trying. The line went dead. Not a hang-up. There was no click. Just silence. A disconnection. The sound of a phone being put down by someone who has decided this is the last time. I sat in my living room. The television was on. Cricket highlights. Some match I didn't care about. Commentary filling the room with noise that meant nothing. The evening chai on the side table was going cold. I could see the film forming on the surface, that thin skin the chai gets when it sits too long, when nobody drinks it, when the moment it was made for has already passed. I tried calling back, once, twice, 5 times. The automated voice, that female robot voice that Indian Telecom uses, said, the number you are trying to reach is currently not reachable. Please try again later. I opened WhatsApp. His profile picture was gone. Gray silhouette. Last seen, hidden. Status, hidden. The chat was there. The old messages were there. But the line at the bottom, you can't send messages to this user, was new, freshly built. A wall constructed in the time it took me to try calling back. Within the hour, blocked on WhatsApp, blocked on regular calls, blocked on email. I found out the next day when a message bounced back. He'd done it systematically, thoroughly, the way I'd taught him to do everything, completely, without leaving loose ends. The room smelled like cold chai and tiger balm, and the particular stillness that a house develops when something irreversible has happened inside it, and the walls know it before you do. I didn't understand what had happened. Not then. Not fully even now. But the phone in my hand, with the gray silhouette where my son's face used to be, understood perfectly. That was 8 months ago. 8 months of this. 8 months of the same screen, the same gray outline, the same 6 words at the bottom of every message I type. I type messages every night. It's become a ritual. After midnight, when the house is silent and my wife is asleep, and the only sound is the clock and the occasional dog barking on the street outside. I open his contact and I type. Long messages. 3 paragraphs, 4 paragraphs. I explain. I justify. I apologize. The apologies start well, sincere, soft, and then somewhere in the second paragraph, they curve into defensiveness. Because even now, even sitting in the rubble, I can't stop defending the building I destroyed. I'm sorry if I was too strict, but I did what I thought was right. That but, that small 3-letter word, it undoes every apology I write. Even my apologies have rebuttals. I press send. Gray line, not delivered. I delete. I type again. Shorter. I miss you. Send. Not delivered. Please call. Not delivered. I'm sorry. Not delivered. The gray notification has become the most consistent response I receive from my son. More reliable than any conversation we ever had. More honest than any exchange we managed in 23 years. At least the gray line tells the truth. You are not welcome here. My wife talks to him, occasionally, carefully. She's become the intermediary, the translator between two countries that can't communicate directly. She speaks to our son on the phone, and when she hangs up, I ask, "How is he?" And she says, "He's fine," and gives me nothing more. She's Switzerland, neutral, protecting both sides by sharing with neither. She saw this coming for 20 years. She told me, gently at first, then firmly, then not at all, because she learned the same lesson my son learned. Speaking to me was a losing game. I checked the phone compulsively. Morning, afternoon, before chai, after dinner, before bed. I open his contact hoping something has changed, hoping the gray silhouette has been replaced by a face, hoping the block has been lifted, hoping some invisible door has opened. It never changes. His contact sits in my phone like a sealed tomb. The name is there. The number is there. But the person behind it has made himself unreachable. Not missing, not lost. Deliberately, consciously unreachable. There's a difference between someone you can't find and someone who is hidden from you on purpose. The second one is worse, because it means they know exactly where you are. They just don't want you to know where they are. I tried calling from other numbers, borrowed my wife's phone once when she wasn't looking. He picked up, heard my voice, and the line went dead. Now he doesn't answer unknown numbers at all. I've contaminated every phone in this house. I've thought about going to Hyderabad, showing up at his apartment, standing outside the door the way fathers in movies do, repentant, rain-soaked, ready to be forgiven. My wife stopped me. "You'll push him further," she said. "You'll lose what's left." What's left? A gray silhouette and a 6-word wall. That's what's left. The phone glows on my nightstand every night. The screen shows a conversation that ends in a wall. And the man who controlled every aspect of his son's life, every exam, every career choice, every relationship, every emotion, now cannot send him a single sentence. Now I'm talking to you. Your child said something to you last week, something honest, something that made your jaw tighten and your chest heat up. Maybe they said, "You never listen." Maybe they said, "I felt scared of you growing up." Maybe they said, "I need some space." And you shut it down. You said, "Don't talk to me like that." Or, "After everything I've sacrificed." Or, "This generation has no respect." You turned their honesty into disrespect. You did it because hearing what they said would mean questioning yourself. And questioning yourself would mean losing control. And losing control is the one thing a man like you, a man like me, cannot tolerate. So you corrected them. You lectured. You reminded them of the fees and the food and the roof. You pulled out the ledger of sacrifices and read it aloud, line by line, until they went quiet. And you mistook that quiet for resolution. It wasn't resolution. It was a decision. Your child just decided something about you, something they won't announce, something you won't see coming. They'll wait. They'll graduate. They'll get a job. They'll move out. And one Tuesday afternoon, you'll pick up your phone and see a gray silhouette where their face used to be, and 6 words that will change the rest of your life. Let your child speak. Let them be angry. Let them say the hard thing, the ugly thing, the unfair thing, the thing that makes you want to slam the table and list your sacrifices. Don't slam. Don't list. Just hear. My son's contact is still in my phone. His name is still there. But where his picture used to be, there's a gray outline of a person who no longer exists in my life. I raised him for 23 years. I provided everything. And the only message I receive now is 6 words on a gray screen. You can't send messages to this user. Let your child speak. Let them be angry. Let them tell you what it felt like to grow up under your roof. Because the alternative is a screen that says, "Not delivered," and a father sitting in the dark at 1 a.m, typing letters to a son who turned his father into a stranger, not out of cruelty, out of survival.